Dad, I'm running out of oxygen. Captain Thomas Wei's phone rang at 3:42 a.m. The name on screen, Lisa, but it wasn't Lisa's voice. It was Coast Guard emergency. Mr. Wei, your daughter Dr. Lisa Wei is in a research submarine in Monterey Bay, 600 feet deep. Oxygen, 8 hours. Rescue operation, 48 hours. Thomas's hand trembled. He was 68 years old, a retired submarine commander, 35 years serving in the world's most dangerous waters. But now he was just an old man renting boats at a marina. 48 hours is too late, Thomas said. She has 8 hours. Coast Guard officer. Mr. Wei, we have no other option. At that depth, I'm going. You're 68 years old, you're retired. I'm her father. Thomas Wei, 68, ran a small marina in Monterey, California. Wei's Marina, boat rentals and fishing tours. Customers saw him as a kind, elderly fisherman. Quiet, humble, somewhat lonely. No one knew. This man was a nuclear submarine commander for 35 years. He served in the Arctic, Russian waters, the deepest points of the Indian Ocean. Over 200 deep dive operations, over 50 rescue missions. But 5 years ago, at age 63, the Navy told him, "Captain Wei, mandatory retirement age. Thank you for your service." Thomas didn't argue. He wanted to spend more time with his daughter Lisa. Dr. Lisa Wei, 31, had inherited her father's love of the ocean. But she didn't become a submarine commander. She became a marine biologist, PhD from Stanford, working at the Monterey Ocean Research Institute. "Dad, you used submarines for war. I use them to understand the oceans," Lisa would say with a smile. Thomas was proud. His daughter had become a better person than him. Every Sunday morning, Lisa would visit her father at the marina. They'd drink coffee together. Thomas would fish. Lisa would read research notes. "I'm going to miss this Sunday, Dad," Lisa said last Wednesday. "Deep-sea research dive, 600 feet, newly discovered hydrothermal vent. It'll take 3 days." Thomas frowned. 600 feet? Which submarine? Nautilus 7, new prototype, 2-person research submarine. The company says it's very safe. Thomas couldn't sleep that night. 35 years of submarine experience told him something. Deep dives are never routine. 3:42 a.m. Phone rang. Thomas answered groggily. Screen. Lisa Wei. But it wasn't Lisa's voice. "Mr. Wei, I'm Coast Guard Commander Jennifer Parks. There's a situation with your daughter, Dr. Lisa Wei." Thomas's heart stopped. What happened? Dr. Wei and her research partner, Dr. David Chen, are in the Nautilus 7 submarine in Monterey Bay. 600 feet deep, electrical failure, communications lost, oxygen, 8 hours. When does the rescue operation start? Silence. "Mr. Wei, the Navy rescue submarine is in San Diego. Getting here, preparing, diving, 48 hours. Thomas's breath caught. 48 hours? Lisa's oxygen is 8 hours. "We know, Mr. Wei. We're looking for alternative options, but I'm going." "Excuse me?" "I'm going. I'm going to save my daughter." "Mr. Wei, you're a retired commander, 68 years old, 600 feet. I've made over 200 deep dives, 50 rescue operations. Those waters are my home, and my daughter's in that submarine." Thomas hung up and ran to the marina. 3:52 a.m. The bay was dark and quiet. But Thomas wasn't quiet. 35 years of submarine experience came alive in his mind. Nautilus 7, 600 feet, electrical failure, 8 hours oxygen. Thomas pulled out his old equipment from storage. When he retired from the Navy, he'd kept some things, just in case. Deep diving equipment, sonar device, submarine rescue tools, underwater cutting equipment. "Dad?" Thomas turned. Maria, his office assistant, stood at the door. Her eyes were wide. "Captain Wei, these are submarine equipment." "Maria, listen to me. Lisa is trapped in a submarine. 600 feet. I'm going to save her." "But you're just a fisherman." Thomas looked at Maria. For the first time, the young woman saw something different in his eyes, a commander's eyes. "No, Maria, I'm not a fisherman. I'm a submarine commander." 4:30 a.m. Coast Guard station. Commander Jennifer Parks was looking at a map. Nautilus 7's last known coordinates, 600 feet deep, Monterey Canyon. "Commander," said a young officer, "there's a man who wants to speak with you, Thomas Wei, Dr. Wei's father." "Send him in." When Thomas entered, Parks expected to see a worried elderly father, but what she saw was different. Thomas's posture was military, shoulders straight, eyes sharp. He carried a folder, maps, coordinates, technical calculations. "Commander Parks," Thomas said in a calm but determined voice, "I'm going to save my daughter. I have the equipment. I have the experience. I came to coordinate with you, not ask permission." Parks frowned. "Mr. Wei, I understand your concern, but—" "Captain Wei, I commanded the USS Ohio, USS Columbia, USS Pennsylvania for 35 years, 200-plus deep dive operations, 50 rescue missions, Korea, Russia, Indian Ocean. Retirement didn't erase my capabilities." Parks paused. She looked at her computer, quickly searched for Thomas Wei. The screen filled. "Captain Thomas Wei, U.S. Navy, Submarine Force, 35 years active duty, deep water rescue specialist, 200-plus operations, Navy Cross recipient." Parks's eyes widened. You're that Captain Wei?" "Yes, and now let's stop wasting time and let me save my daughter." In the Coast Guard conference room, young dive experts were studying the map. Lieutenant Marcus Cole, 32, dive team leader. 8 years Coast Guard experience, confident, capable. "Commander Parks," Marcus said, 600 feet is very deep. My team is ready, but we need equipment. 12 hours. "There are no 12 hours, Parks said. "Dr. Wei has 7 hours of oxygen left." "Then it's impossible," Marcus said. "At that depth, at that speed, no one can do it." "I can." Everyone turned. Thomas stood at the door. He was wearing a deep diving suit. It was old but professional. Marcus frowned. "Who are you?" "Captain Thomas Wei, Dr. Wei's father, and the person who will save her." Marcus laughed, mockingly. "You? How old are you? 65, 70? 68. "Okay, Grandpa," Marcus said in a sarcastic tone. "Thanks, but this is for professionals. You should go home. I was a nuclear submarine commander for 35 years, 200-plus deep dives. I was doing 600-foot operations before you were born." Marcus's smile froze. "I served in the Arctic, Russian waters, the deepest points of the Indian Ocean. You've been in the Coast Guard for 8 years. I survived in enemy waters for 35 years. Thomas approached the map, pointed to Monterey Canyon. "Nautilus 7's last coordinates are here, 600 feet. Electrical failure cut communications, but auxiliary power should still be working. Oxygen, 7 hours. Navy rescue team, 48 hours. The math is simple. I'm going." Parks intervened. "Captain Wei, technically you're correct, but you're 68 years old. Physically?" Thomas pulled out a paper from his pocket. "Full physical exam last month. Cardiovascular, excellent. Lung capacity, normal. Blood pressure, stable. I don't just fish at the marina. I swim 5 miles every day. Age is a number. Capability is a lifetime." Silence. The young divers looked at each other. Parks took a deep breath. "Captain Wei, if you do this, alone, without official authorization, the responsibility is yours. Accepted. And if you fail, I won't fail. She's my daughter." Thomas returned to his marina. 5:15 a.m. The sun was starting to rise. Behind the storage building, under a large tarp, was something everyone had forgotten. DSV-4. Dolphin, deep sea diving vehicle. Thomas had bought this at an auction 10 years ago. Old Navy equipment, used. But it worked. He maintained it every year, just in case. "Today's your day," Thomas said, touching the old submarine. Dolphin was small, 2-person, 1,000 feet maximum dive depth, built in the 1980s but solid. Thomas checked the systems: oxygen tanks, full sonar, working communications, working mechanical arm, working rescue equipment, ready. "Dad." Thomas turned. Maria was running, followed by Lisa's mother, Thomas's ex-wife, Helen Wei, 65. They'd divorced 10 years ago. Thomas's job, constantly at sea, constantly in danger, had ended their marriage. But they both loved Lisa. "Thomas," Helen said, eyes teary. Lisa is out there. I know, I'm bringing her back. But 600 feet, you're 68 years old. This is suicide." Thomas took Helen's hands. "Helen, I did this for 35 years. Lisa is out there because she loves the oceans. I taught her that. Now I'm going to save her." Helen cried. What if I lose both of you?" "You won't." 6 a.m. Dolphin was lowered into the water. Coast Guard boat waited nearby. Commander Parks, Lieutenant Marcus, and the dive team watched. Thomas climbed into Dolphin. Everything was familiar. Years had passed, but muscle memory was there. Radioactive. Captain Wei, Coast Guard, sound check. Wei, receiving clearly. Coordinates sent, Nautilus 7's last known position, 600 feet, Monterey Canyon. Understood. Parks's voice. Captain Wei, good luck. Bring her back. Thomas said nothing. He just activated the dive controls. Dolphin slowly sank. Depth, 50 feet. Water was dark blue, sunlight still visible, fish swimming, normal. Thomas activated sonar. Nautilus 7's coordinates blinked on screen. Distance, 2.3 miles. Depth, 600 feet. I'm on my way, Lisa, Thomas said quietly. Depth, 100 feet. Light faded, water darkened, pressure increased. Dolphin creaked slightly, old bolts and metal feeling the pressure. Radio. Wei, Parks, depth 100, how are you? I'm good, systems normal. Marcus's voice. Captain, if you're already hearing pressure, sounds at 100 feet, at 600. I know what happens at 600, Lieutenant, don't worry. Depth, 200 feet, completely dark, only Dolphin's front lights, sonar beeping. Thomas's breathing was calm, heart rate normal. He did this for 35 years. His body remembers. Radio. Wei, Parks, oxygen status? Thomas looked at the gauge. Oxygen 95%, sufficient. What about Nautilus 7's oxygen? Thomas didn't know. 5 hours had passed since the crisis. Lisa's oxygen could be 2 to 3 hours. Time pressure, depth, 300 feet. Dolphin shook, strong current, natural water flow of Monterey Canyon. Thomas adjusted controls with experienced hands, as if he'd done it yesterday. Wei, we're losing you. Communications. Radio cut out. Normal. At 300 feet, sea canyons can cut communications. Thomas was alone. Just him, Dolphin, the dark ocean, and somewhere out there at 600 feet, his trapped daughter. Depth, 400 feet. Dolphin's hull groaned, pressure increasing, metal fatiguing. Thomas checked hull integrity gauge, 78%, acceptable, could go to 1,000 feet. Sonar. Target 0.8 miles, depth 600 feet, getting close. Thomas closed his eyes, thought of Lisa. At age 6, she saw her father's submarine for the first time. Dad, do you live under the sea? Sometimes, sweetheart, sometimes. Aren't you scared? No, because I understand the sea. I love it, and it protects me. When Lisa grew up, she became a marine biologist. She inherited her father's love of the sea, and now that sea was trying to take his daughter. I won't let it, Thomas said quietly. Depth, 500 feet, sonar was beeping frantically. Target 0.3 miles. Dolphin's front lights tried to pierce the darkness. Nothing, just endless blue-black void. Then, something on sonar screen. Target detected. Depth, 580 feet. Distance, 0.1 miles. Thomas's heart raced. Lisa, he said, I'm coming. Depth, 580 feet. Dolphin's lights caught it. There it was. Nautilus 7. Small two-person research submarine, sitting on a rocky ledge at a strange angle, left side leaning against rocks. External lights were off, power gone. But one thing, inside, a small emergency light, blinking. Someone inside was alive. Thomas brought Dolphin closer, carefully, not to hit the rocks. 50 feet distance, 30 feet, 20 feet. Then he saw. Through Nautilus 7's window, a face. Lisa. Her eyes were wide, tired, scared, but alive. When she saw her father, she started crying. Thomas's eyes welled up, but he didn't cry. Not yet. Job wasn't done. Radio, Nautilus 7's emergency frequency. Dad, Lisa's voice, weak, tired, but her. Lisa, I'm here. Dad, how did you... Shh, don't talk. Save oxygen. I'm getting you out. Oxygen. 1 hour left. David passed out. Thomas looked inside Nautilus 7. Next to Lisa, research partner Dr. David Chen, motionless. 1 hour oxygen, 2 people. Thomas thought quickly. Raising Nautilus 7 to surface impossible. No power, lifting system not working, only option, transfer people to Dolphin. But how? 600 feet deep. Water pressure 18 atmospheres. Open the hatch, water floods instantly. They'd drown. Then Thomas remembered. Emergency rescue tube, under Dolphin, flexible tube, for transfer between 2 submarines. 35 years ago, he'd used it in the Atlantic to rescue an American spy from a Russian submarine. Lisa, listen. I have a rescue tube under Dolphin. I'll connect it to your submarine. You'll go through that tube. Enter Dolphin, then we'll get David. But Dad, pressure. 600 feet. Lisa, trust me. I've done this 50 times. Silence. Then Lisa's voice. Okay, Dad. I trust you. Thomas positioned Dolphin above Nautilus 7. Carefully, millimeter by millimeter, he activated the mechanical arm. At the end of the arm, flexible emergency rescue tube, slowly extended it toward Nautilus 7's emergency exit hatch. His hands were trembling. He was 68 years old. Reflexes weren't what they used to be, but he had experience. The arm extended. The tube touched Nautilus 7's hatch. Lisa, open the emergency exit hatch. The tube will lock automatically. Inside Nautilus 7, Lisa reached for the panel. Her hands were shaking. Low oxygen, head spinning. She pulled the red handle. Clank. Emergency hatch opened. Rescue tube automatically locked. Airtight seal. Connected, Thomas said. Lisa, now enter the tube. Slowly. Don't panic. Lisa looked at the tube. Narrow, dark, 10 feet long, 600 feet deep. Scary. But her father's voice calmed her. Lisa, close your eyes. Breathe. I'm here. Lisa entered the tube, crawled through the narrow space, 10 feet. Finally reached Dolphin's hatch. Thomas opened the hatch. Lisa fell in, out of breath, but safe. Father and daughter hugged. Dad, don't talk. Rest. Now I'm getting David. Thomas extended the rescue tube to Nautilus 7 again, went in, grabbed David. He was unconscious but breathing. Passed him through the tube, pulled him into Dolphin. 2 people rescued. Lisa, David, hold on. We're ascending. Thomas activated ascent control. Depth, 600 feet, 500 feet, 400 feet, 300 feet. Dolphin rose, slow but steady, 200 feet, 100 feet, 50 feet. Light appeared. Sun, 0 feet. At the Surface Coast Guard boat was waiting. Ambulance ready. Dolphin's hatch opened. Lisa came out. Helen cried and hugged her daughter. Lisa! Lisa! David was taken on stretcher, given oxygen. He'd survive. Thomas climbed out of Dolphin, tired, wet, 68 years old. But he'd saved his daughter. Lieutenant Marcus approached. His face was red, ashamed. Captain Wei, I called you Grandpa. I'm sorry. You're incredible. Thomas touched his shoulder. Lieutenant, in 35 years you'll be like this too. Experience comes with age. Commander Parks came, saluted. Captain Wei, officially thank you. You saved 2 lives. Legendary operation. Media arrived. Cameras, reporters. Captain Wei, you're 68 years old, 600 feet. How did you do it? Thomas looked at his daughter. Lisa was smiling. How did I do it? Because she's my daughter, and a father never gives up. Next day, news was everywhere. 68-year-old retired commander saved his daughter, diving 600 feet. He wasn't a fisherman. He was a legendary submarine commander. Thomas Wei proved age is just a number. Marina customers were shocked. That quiet fisherman was actually a submarine legend. 35 years service, 200 operations. And he never said anything. Maria looked at Thomas. Captain Wei, why didn't you ever say? You have such an incredible past. Thomas smiled. Because the past is the past. I just wanted to live peacefully. But now everyone knows. Yes, but it doesn't matter. What matters? Lisa is safe. 1 week later. Sunday morning. Thomas and Lisa were drinking coffee at the marina. Like before. Lisa looked at her father. Dad, you saved me from 600 feet. At 68 years old, everyone said it was impossible. Thomas smiled. Lisa, they taught me something 35 years ago. The sea doesn't recognize age. It only demands respect. I approached the sea with respect. It gave me back my daughter. Will you dive again? Thomas looked at the ocean. Maybe, maybe not, but I'm ready. Because experience doesn't disappear. Age is just a number. Capability is a lifetime. Lisa hugged her father. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Sea waves hit the dock. Thomas smiled. He was 68 years old, retired. Everyone called him old. But he had dove 600 feet and saved his daughter, because age is just a number. Experience is forever. This story shows the value of experience, a father's love, and that age is just a number. 68-year-old retired Commander Thomas Wei did what everyone said was impossible because he said, "She's my daughter." If you like this story, like, subscribe, and comment. Question: do you think experience or youth is more valuable? Let's discuss in the comments.